You're supposed to start this.
I start this. I thought you start this.
Okay.
Fair enough. Welcome to Tall and Short. What? Whoa! Tony just slamming his fist on the table.
No!
Hello and welcome once again to another episode of Tall and Short with Tim and Tony.
He's a Tim.
And he's a Tony.
Okay, so, I got another house for you.
He's got another house for me. Tony is looking to sell.
Yes, Sunday.
Uh-oh. Now this thing's coming out on a Tuesday.
Shut up.
It is, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, it is right after Christmas. So, hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas time if you celebrate it. And if you got to spend time with your family, regardless of what religion you have, I do hope that you enjoyed your time with your friends and loved ones otherwise. Before we get into the weeds and another spooky story.
Yes, because let's go ahead and just start this off with a bang. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald Defoe Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue.
You.
A large Dutch colonial house situated in suburban neighborhood in Amityville.
We're going to the Amityville house, huh?
We go into the OG.
And you just had to drop in we're going to start off with a bang and then talk about the Defoe family slaying.
Well, you know, tomato.
Ah, you.
Blood splatter. Just blood splatter.
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah,
you're good.
That tracks you.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, what am I saying? What am I saying? I've covered some nasty stuff.
On the in the suburban neighborhood of Amityville, on the south shore of Long Island, New York.
All right. So the last haunted house we had was San Jose, California. So a lovely sunny West Coast. Now we're going to East Coast. Not so sunny and probably a little dreary.
Yeah. Defoe was convicted of second-degree murder in November 1975. God damn it, Ted! And sentenced to 6 terms of 25 years to life in prison. Defoe died in prison in March 2021.
Jeez. That is recent!
In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children moved into the house.
And this episode comes out at the end of December, so I think that is more than appropriate that we're talking about this.
After 28 days, the Lutzes fled the house.
Jeez. I can only imagine. But the thing, what type of... Okay, I got my questions first about,
The Lutzes' sanity to buy a house that just got murdered?
No, not that
all
one.
Over?
Not that one. It's more like, the Defoe, like, what gun was he using? I forgot what type of gun he was using.
I've not seen the movie at all.
I don't think they even touched on the movie. Like, it's just like the story.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to be covering the Amityville house, and then subsequently the book, the movie, you know, all, the ridiculous amount of movies and books and pop culture medium it has been contrived into.
Oh, sweet mercy. I had to look into what he was using.
What was he using?
All of his family, they were victims to a 35 caliber lever action Marlin 336C rifle.
Ooh.
So I am looking at it right now. It is a lever action rifle that, for certain, it's going to be very loud when it goes off. At 3 a.m.
You said 336?
336C rifle, which is
that's a decent size. I mean, that's, you know, it's not a 50 caliber bullet here blowing holes around, but yeah, 336 isn't nothing to scoff at.
That is a actually. What's that one sound like? That is what a 336 firearm sounds like. Not a 336C, but that is close enough because I got curious. I can find these things on YouTube, and that's not a quiet gun. Like, that's on a phone. If anybody heard that one, that's on my phone. That at 3 in the morning, like, that should be alerting people. Especially when it's, 6 bullets?
Yeah, at least. Maybe a few more, depending if, every one was a kill shot, first shot.
Good night. That is morbid.
So, we'll go ahead and get into the plot of the book itself, and then subsequently everything else that trickled down from it. The book was written by Jay Anson in 1977, is when it was publicized, or publicated.
1977?
Yeah, so 3 years after the murders.
Roughly.
It's a pretty quick turnaround time, even back in the 70s for that kind of thing.
No kidding.
The book describes the house at 112 Ocean Avenue as remaining empty for 13 months after the Defoe murder. Is it Defoe or D? It's D-E-F-E-O. DeFeo?
I've heard of DeFeo.
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 Okay, we'll go with DeFeo.
Yeah, I've heard that in a couple other podcasts.
In December of 75, George and Kathleen Lutz bought the house for what was considered to be a bargain price of $80,000.
An $80,000 house for how many?
5-bedroom house built in a Dutch colonial style, so kind of a big barn. Kind of one of those big round Amish barns.
I've seen. I know what you're talking about. And $80,000 for a 5-bedroom.
Also had a swimming pool and a boathouse, and was located on a canal, or is located on a canal.
That is a steal for a house.
Mm-hmm.
For back then, even for back then, like today, that would be unheard of.
Yep. So, and this is all coming from the book, so if the sources, because I've not seen the movie, or the remake, or the countless other ones. So if they deviate from that, I'm reading from the book's origin, because that was the first medium.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, because the books, the movies would absolutely, what's the word? Hollywood. It would embellish things, make things a lot more fantastical.
So, George and Kathleen Lutz, married in July of 75, each had their own homes, wanted to start fresh, though, with each other, with a new property, and they had 3 children between them from previous marriages. Mm-hmm. Daniel Lutz, Christopher Lutz, and Melissa or Missy Lutz, who were 9, 7, and 5 respectively. They also owned a crossbreed Malamute Labrador dog named Harry. During the first inspection of the house, the real estate broker they had told them about the DeFeo murders and asked if this would affect their decision. The Lutzes, probably against their better judgment, I imagine, decided it would not be a problem.
Yeah, boy.
They moved in December 18th of 1975. And much of the DeFeo family furniture was still in the house.
What?
The DeFeo furniture was still in the house.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even clear... Oh, God.
One of George Lutz's friends found out they were moving into the house, found out the furniture was all still there, and apparently insisted that the house be blessed before they fully moved in.
Well, I mean, if there's still furniture in there, and a murder happened 13 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
George was a non-practicing Methodist. Kathy was a non-practicing Catholic. They found a priest. In the book is named Father Ray. The actual priest is Father Ralph J. Pecoraro.
Pecoraro.
In the book, he's referred to as Father Mancusa for privacy reasons, so we'll refer to him as Mancusa from here out.
Yeah, just for the sake of argument. I mean,
Mancusa was a lawyer and a judge of the Catholic court and a psychotherapist who lived at the local Sacred Heart Rectory, who arrived to perform the blessing while George and Kathy were unpacking their belongings on December 18th in the afternoon. When he went into the building to carry out the rites, when he flicked the first holy water and began to pray, he heard a masculine voice demand that he get out.
Get out.
Yeah. Didn't mention that to George and Kathy.
Hey, Priesty, I think you ought to tell people that, oh yes, I got slapped in the face and I heard a voice say get out. You might want to not come near this house.
Christmas Eve that few days later, Mancusa called George Lutz and advised him to stay out of the second floor room where he had heard the voice coming from. The former bedroom of Mark and John Matthew DeFeo, who I believe were two of the kids. Kathy planned to turn that room into a sewing room.
You said John and Mark DeFeo?
Yeah, M-A-R-C and John Matthew DeFeo.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was two of Ronald Jr.'s siblings. Mark was 12 and John was 9. Which, senseless.
Yeah. But as Mancuso is talking to George, the call was cut short by static. Of course it was.
Claims of being static.
Yeah. No, the call was cut short by static.
Really?
Following his visit to the house to try and bless it, Father Mancuso allegedly developed a high fever and blisters on his hands similar to stigmata. Stigmata?
Stigmata.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar with what stigmata is, it's the holes in Jesus' hands.
Yeah. At first, George and Kathy experienced nothing unusual in the house, but when they were talking about their experiences, subsequently they reported it was as if they were each living in a different house.
I can imagine. I want to throw a guess on this one because it has been a hot minute since I've learned about the Amityvilles. I'm going to assume that George was like, oh no, this is a totally fine house, nothing wrong, and his wife is going, no, I've seen some creepy shit, dude.
Yeah, I would imagine it's something like that. By mid-January of 76, after another attempt at a house bustling by George and Kathy, they experienced what would turn out to be their final night in the house. The Lutzes declined to give a full account of events that took place on this occasion, describing them as too frightening.
Too frightening. What eldritch horrors doth they could have seen that made them run away?
Yeah, which goes either way. They either can't think up enough excuses and are lying, or they genuinely are too terrified to talk about it.
It really does run the gamut about one or the other, because,
yeah.
I mean, you can, at the mic, you could probably, as somebody who is familiar with, like, eldritch horror, because that's some stuff I read occasionally, when you can't describe it, it truly shakes your whole world because it's something that is outside the realm of our understanding.
Yeah.
So it can easily mess you up.
After getting in touch with Father Mancuso, the Lutzes decided to take some of their belongings and stay at Kathy's mother's house in nearby Deer Park, New York. They claimed the phenomenon followed them there with the final scene of Anson's book describing greenish-black slime coming up the staircase towards them.
Ew.
On January 14th, 1976, George and Kathy Lux, with their 3 kids and dog Harry, left 112 Ocean Avenue, leaving all of their possessions behind. The next day, a mover arrived to remove the possessions and reported no paranormal phenomena inside the house, or while moving stuff around from the house.
Yeah.
The book was written after Tam Mossman, an editor at the publishing house Prentice Hall, introduced George and Kathy Lux to Jay Anson, the writer of the book. The Lutzes did not work directly with Anson, but submitted around 45 hours of tape-recorded recollections to him.
Tape-recorded recollections. And how far apart was the book and the haunting again? The alleged haunting?
He published it September 13th, 1977, and they were in the house for the last time January 14th, 76.
76.
So, a little over a year.
Okay.
So, that's reasonable.
Yep.
Estimates of the sales of the book are around 10 million copies from various editions of it. So.
Yep, and my mother actually owned one of those copies.
Yep.
Yeah, I told the story, I think, in another episode, but a while back, she was reading the book. She was reading the book, and she stopped at one particular part and just couldn't keep reading it because it spooked her out so much.
Yeah. What was it, like a pig or something? Or?
Yep, the demonic pig.
Ugh. Anson... And last thing about Anson's rendition of the book, or at the book itself, Anson is said to have based the title of the Amityville Horror on the Dunwich Horror.
Bring in H.P. Lovecraft.
Yep, which Dunwich Horror was published in 1929.
Yep, and I have read that. That is one of the only few H.P. Lovecraft stories that has a quote-unquote happy ending. Because most of the time, a lot of his stuff ends very morbidly, or the fact that, mankind is screwed. And essentially they just delayed the inevitable, is how the ending goes. So that's happy for Lovecraft. But appropriate name.
Let's start poking holes in the book.
Alrighty. Do you want to get the buckshot out again?
No, let's get the 336.
I forgot about that part again. I don't know how I forgot about that. The joke is, a while back, Tony and I, we had a couple of books.
Oh, wow. I wasn't even thinking about that.
I was, A couple years ago, several years ago, Tony and I went to the same university together, and we had books from a class that we were not fans of. We barely managed to pass the class.
Yep.
And when we were done, we took our textbooks that we were given, that were ours because we did purchase them, and took them out to a shooting range and had some fun.
Yeah. That was, that class was my second go around on that one, because I failed the first one, because it was mostly a group study, so you were grouped in
I remember
teams of 4. My first team, which consisted of our mutual friend Tracy, and then 2 other people that, it was...
We'll ignore the names also.
Yeah. One of them was, a soccer jock guy, and the other one was just couldn't be bothered to show up for anything.
Yeah.
So I was doing these group projects basically with me and our one mutual friend, single-handedly. I failed because the other 2 people, sometimes 3, never showed up for the projects.
Yeah, there was not a lot, and then I was not a good study partner in that one, because it was just like, we kind of didn't have a really good study group either.
No.
I tried, but I was like, this class, I don't work in teams very well.
No, and it was a very poorly taught, poorly managed class. So yeah, to take a little bit of joy out of the class for ourselves at the end of it, when we all knew we all passed, everything was good, I took my copy out of the book, and I lived out in the middle of nowhere on our property, lined it up and plugged it full of 4 different types of rounds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Your cat is being a dick.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him off the table. Come here, buddy. I got him. Go on. So, that little sidebar about something with our lives.
So yeah. Anyway, going back to plugging holes in books.
Yeah, not trying to make insensitive comments about the guns right now. No.
Poking holes. That's a better way to phrase it.
Poking holes.
So the disputes over the accuracy of the book, and obviously that there goes with the books and everything subsequent from it. The biggest part is Father Mancuso. Quote unquote. Mancuso. Yeah. Father Pecoraro, who Mancuso is based off, stated in an affidavit during a lawsuit in the late 70s that his only contact with Lutzes concerning the matter had been by telephone. Mm-hmm. Other accounts say that Father Pecoraro did visit the house, but experienced nothing unusual. Mm-hmm. In 1979, he described his experience while blessing the Amityville house during an interview for the television series In Search Of.
Yes.
In the interview, he makes it clear that he did in fact enter the home, and that he was slapped by an invisible force and told to get out by a disembodied voice. Mm-hmm. So, there's some plot holes here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on already.
Jim?
Yeah, I thought so. That In Search Of, that was Leonard Nimoy. That was his show at the time.
I mean, the man lied to Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
Or told the truth to Leonard Nimoy. I'm not sure.
Either way, Spock got involved at some point.
If you have to get Spock involved, he'll Vulcan grip you to death.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jim and Barbara Cromartie rejected the claims of physical damage to doors, locks, and windows.
And who are those 2?
They bought the house in March of 1977.
Okay.
So they are the next owners.
Yes.
They bought the house for $55,000, equivalent to $266,000 in 2022. Barbara argued that they appeared to be the original item. Oh, okay. The doors, locks, and windows. Argued that the doors, locks, and windows all appeared to be the original items and had not been repaired.
So there were no repairs on the house at all.
Yeah, it looked like the doors, locks, and windows that were all allegedly broken during
all
the supernatural phenomena the Lutzes had experienced all looked like they were original parts.
Mm-hmm.
Couple also revealed that the Red Room was a small closet in the basement and would have been known to the Lutzes because it was not concealed in any way. And again, no idea what that means, because I haven't read the book, watched the movie, but I assume the Red Room was... Honest, you know what? No, I think the Red Room is where the little demonic pig comes from. I would imagine. That would make sense in my mind. And then, local... I'm going to butcher this, I'm sorry in advance. Shinnecock Indians...
Yeah.
Rejected the claim made in Chapter 11 of the book that the house was built on a site where the tribe had once abandoned the mentally ill and the dying. So, yeah, now you've got a whole nation of Native Americans being like, nah, that's not...
Yeah, don't throw us under the bus, man. That's on you this time.
Yeah. Researchers Rick Moran... and Peter Jordan rejected the claim of cloven hoof prints in the snow on January 1st of 76.
Mm-hmm.
Their investigation revealed that there had been no snowfall at that time.
Jeez.
No neighbor reported anything unusual during the time the Lutzes were living there. Police officers are depicted visiting the house in the book, and 1979 film records showed that the Lutz did not call the police. There's no bar in Amityville called the Witch's Brew at the time either.
And it would make, the police would keep a record of any and all calls. Because wouldn't they have to?
For so long.
But, at the time they would have had them, because, it was back in the 70s. They would have still had to keep them, who's calling
physical
from where.
Copies.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. Stephen Kaplan and other critics have pointed out that changes were made to the book as it was reprinted in different editions. In the original hardcover edition, hardcover edition, Father Pecораro's car is an old tan Ford, and he experiences an incident in which the hood flies up against the windshield while he's driving it. In later editions, the car is described as a Chevy Vega, before reverting to a Ford again.
Chevy, Ford.
Yeah. Dodge! Donkey!
Toyota!
So, minor little things that don't really matter, but when you add all the things up, starts mattering.
Yeah, it starts kind of poking quite a few holes into it, that the ship is starting to sink a little here.
Yeah. In May of 77, George and Kathy Lux filed a lawsuit against William Weber, the defense lawyer for Ronald DeFeo Jr.
No kidding.
Paul Hoffman, a writer working on an account of the hauntings. Mm-hmm. Bernard Burton and Frederick Mars, both alleged clairvoyants who had examined the house, along with... Jesus Christ, they really went hard for this lawsuit.
This house is clean.
Oh.
Wait, hang on. Wrong movie.
Poltergeist. God, that's a terrible film.
For what they had back then, I thought it was okay. But regardless, anyway.
So, 2 clairvoyants, a writer working on an account of the hauntings, the defense lawyer for the guy that murdered his family in the house, along with, and here's the scary ones, Good Housekeeping Magazine, New York Sunday Times, and the Hearst Corporation.
They went after the Hearst Corporation?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The Lutzes... Go ahead.
The Hearst Corporation, if you are unfamiliar, is or was one of the largest media conglomerates in the United States at the time. Kind of talking back a little bit when we talked about Citizen Kane briefly for a bit. Kane based himself off of William Randolph Hearst, who was one of the biggest magnates at the time. Going after the Hearst, putting a lawsuit against the Hearst Corporation is like trying to go up against a tank with a little BB pistol.
You haven't? You haven't done that?
I'm just saying what the equivalent is, because at the time, we got another cat here, by the way. At the time, you don't mess with the horse corporation. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That got me going for a minute there.
So, the charges, the what's is alleged misappropriation of names for trade purposes, your cats, invasion of privacy, and mental distress.
Uh-huh.
That sounded like I just called your cats invasion of privacy and mental distress, which
They kind of are sometimes.
not
Like
wrong.
my fiance and I can give out the test of that one.
The claims against the news corporations were dropped, and the remainder of the lawsuit was heard by Brooklyn District Court Judge Jack B. Weinstein.
One of the Weinsteins. Oh, great.
In September 79, Weinstein dismissed the Lutz's claims.
Jeez.
God, it just keeps getting worse for this. In September 17th of 79, in the September 17th, 1979 issue of People magazine, William Weber wrote, "I know this book is a hoax. We created this horror story over many bottles of wine." And he's referring to a meeting that Weber had with George and Kathy Lutz.
Oh, God.
During which they discussed what became the outline of Anson's book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's people not coming forward saying, yeah, no, we just got stupid drunk and thought, what's a good way to make some money? I know. Haunted house.
George Lutz maintained the events in the book were mostly true.
Mostly true. There's your definitive word there.
In June of 79, George and Kathy Lutz submitted to a polygraph test relating to their experiences at the house, which, sidebar, I hate polygraph tests because they are not accurate at all.
Yeah,
you can cheat a polygraph test so easily.
Uh-huh. But how did they fare?
The tests were performed by two of allegedly the top 5 polygraph experts in America.
Uh-huh.
So you got number 1 and number 2, or some variation of the top 5 people doing this test.
Yeah.
The results, in their opinions, did not indicate lying.
That they
were not lying about the events.
I'm gonna let my skeptic come out on this one.
Yeah.
It's easy to make yourself think if it is.
Yeah.
If
you tell a lie long enough, it becomes truth to you.
Exactly. So very easily they could have been doing that and lied to themselves to the point that it is truth. And
they had 4 years nearly to lie this into existence in their brains, and with all the media attention they had to stick to a lie. So if they told the same thing consistently enough,
I mean, if you can memorize that enough,
yeah, it becomes truth for you. So the debate continues to this day concerning the accuracy of the Amityville Horror and all the alleged phenomena.
And I have heard several different podcasts.
It is a go-to, I want to say scapegoat, but it's a go-to target for supernatural podcasts.
Yep. I listened to a couple. I listened to I don't know if I want to name drop any of them. Nah, I'm not gonna. But there are 2 podcasts I listen to. One that talks about mostly internet-based mysteries and hauntings, that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, like creepypastas and the SCP Foundation,
give or take. Yeah. And they talked about it, and it's like, this was some scary stuff, but it's possible that this really did not happen.
Yeah.
And and then obviously I listened to a couple of podcasts by Dan Cummins, and he's covered them. He's covered this topic, and he's given his opinion where he's like, yeah, no, a lot of this is kind of smoke out of the water.
Yeah.
Smoke in the water sort of thing.
So, last thing I'll say about the events of the house has had multiple owners since 76.
Yep.
All of them have publicly reported no problems while living there.
Mm-hmm.
James Cromartie bought the house in 1977 and lived there with his wife Barbara for 10 years. He commented, quote, "Nothing weird ever happened except for people coming by because of the book and the movie."
I mean,
end quote.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But this franchise, because that's what it is, it's not a haunting, it's a franchise.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Yeah. It started in 1979, and the last film or book was 2021, The Amityville Vampire.
Come on.
Yeah. It goes, and I'll just read off. I won't read like the Amityville blank. I'm just going to read the blank part.
Because they're all the Amityville something.
Yeah. The horror, the possession, Amityville, the demon or 3D, evil escapes, the curse, it's about time, a new generation dollhouse, the '05 remake with Ryan Reynolds.
Which I've only seen bits and pieces. Not very good.
No. It's Ryan Reynolds doing a serious role. That's not, you don't.
Not one of his better movies, if I'll be honest.
Yeah. Asylum, Death House, Playhouse, No Escape, Vanishing Point, Legacy, Terror, Prison, The Awakening, Evil Never Dies, Exorcism, Murders, Harvest, Poltergeist, Witches of Amityville Academy, Amityville Island, Amityville Vampire.
Okay. Some of the titles sounded a little bit like
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo-ish. Others sounded a little bit like, a good time, like Demon House, Dollhouse, Asylum, like one after the other led into a good time, then to craziness. Others sounded like James Bond titles, like
Evil Never Dies,
like that one right there. And then what was that one? Witches won that one.
Witches of Amityville Academy. That sounds like a Scooby-Doo, like mid-90s, like Scooby-Doo and 13 Ghosts.
That I'm not even gonna lie, and I'm on an entirely different wavelength than what you're thinking. You're going Scooby-Doo. I'm going softcore Skinamax porn.
Oh God,
that's what I'm thinking of on that one. Just I'm actually embarrassed that I thought of that.
No, hey, bear with me here. You and me both watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yes.
Characters that should not be in a porn. Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna walk out there and stand for a second.
I'm gonna go play traffic now. Thank you very much. So.
Oh God. Witches Amity Academy. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That does not sound right. It'd be worse if they said co-ed witches. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah. So, and I'll go through. I'm gonna just compartmentalize all that. The '79 film, the original The Amityville Horror, based on the novel, best known in the series.
Yes.
Obviously, it started it. The person who played the priest was played by Academy Award-winning actor Rob Steiger.
Mm-hmm.
First 3 Amityville films received theatrical releases. The 4th film, which was The Evil Escapes, was made for television by NBC.
Oh, God. I can already imagine the quality on that one.
The sequels from the 1990s were released direct-to-video.
Oh, I can even feel those even more.
And contain virtually no material relating to the Lutz family or the DeFeo murders. Instead, they concentrate on paranormal phenomena caused by cursed items supposedly linked to the house.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Amityville was doing The Conjuring before The Conjuring was Conjuring.
Mother of...
And then The Conjuring adopted the Amityville.
Your scientists were so concerned whether they should... God.
Whether they could or not, they didn't think
whether
should
they should.
they.
God damn it. That's what's already popping into... Fuck! This is irritating to me. Okay, what did the Lutzes in some of their... What did they actually say that they witnessed while they were being haunted by these hideous...
Well, I mean, we talked about a demon pig,
the demonic,
a red room, slime. I know there's a lot of, like, the shining blood fountain sort of stuff going on.
Oh, Lord.
Doesn't the father, like, lose his collective shit and start trying to kill his family?
If I'm not mistaken...
The Lutz, George Lutz, not DeFeo.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he was. I think that he was slowly becoming unhinged as the month went on.
He was shining.
Yes.
He was shiny.
Yeah.
Shiny.
Oh God. I'm usually like on top of some of this stuff, but it just irritates me.
Mm-hmm.
It just irritates me. And hell, why the hell would they be making up these claims? Cash grab? Of course.
Again, it's the Winchester house. Money. Another issue with 112 Ocean Avenue, the Amityville house. The 05 remake with Ryan Reynolds. The 05 remake exaggerates the isolation of 112 Avenue by depicting it as a remote house similar to the Overlook Hotel in The Shining.
Yes.
In reality, 112 Ocean Avenue is a suburban house within 50 feet of other houses in the neighborhood. So,
people really just like this. I'm looking up some of this stuff here. This is in fucking sanity to me. I am.
George Lutz described the 05 remake as drivel and sued the makers for breach of contract, defamation, and libel. He objected particularly to the scene in the film where the male lead, George Lutz, played by Ryan Reynolds, is shown killing the family dog with an axe.
Oh, yeah.
Film also shows the George Lutz character building coffins for members of his own family. Defamation claim was dismissed by an LA court in November of 05. While other issues related to the lawsuit remain unresolved at the time of George Lutz's death.
When did he pass?
He passed in May 8th of 06.
Okay.
The last one before I go into the legacy of the Lutz family. The documentary My Amityville Horror was released in March 2013. It featured interviews with Daniel Lutz, one of the children who lived in the house during the period of the book and the film are based.
Yeah.
Daniel echoes the original story as told by his mother and stepfather, George and Kathleen.
Yeah.
Also makes additional claims that both he and George Lutz were possessed and that George Lutz demonstrated telekinetic abilities and strongly suggests that George's dabbling in the occult may have initiated the demonic events.
This guy was dabbling in the occult.
Apparently George was, allegedly.
Oy vey. How old was this kid at the time?
Yeah. Why you make me go back and look at things? Daniel was 9 at the time. In 74.
In 74. 90. Hang on. It happened in 74? Is that what happened? The haunting end of 74 or 76?
76, yeah.
There
74 was DeFeo.
Yeah. 74 was DeFeo. 76. 9 years old, 6 in 1976. Easy to damn manipulate a kid. Like, I mean, 9 years old is still at a time where you still have some of that, where if you see something spooky or whatever,
yeah,
or something that's actually really just jarring, you can mess a kid up or whatever. I don't know where I'm going with this one, but like easy to control a kid at that age.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kathleen Teresa Lutz died on August 17th, 2004 from emphysema, and George Lutz died May 8th, 06 of heart disease.
Yeah.
The couple themselves actually divorced in the late 80s, but remained on good terms.
Okay.
So, on the night of March 6th, 1976, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Ah, the Warrens. They're worthy of their own full episode on our.
Will be
on our podcast.
Together with a crew from the television station Channel 5 New York and reporter Michael Linder of WNEW-FM went to investigate the house. During the course of the investigation, Gene Campbell took a series of infrared time-lapse photographs. One of the images allegedly showed a demonic boy with glowing eyes.
I've seen that picture.
Who was standing at the foot of a staircase. Yep.
Not at the foot at a banister, looking around. I've seen that photo, and it's definitely creepy as all hell.
There goes the goosebumps again. Fucking. To quote, oh God, what's that comedian's name? Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
Ugh, makes you want to kick a fat kid at Kmart.
Oh God. Yeah,
he is a redneck comedian, but he's like intelligent. And he was doing a podcast, and this snippet of him goes into memes, like when you're frustrated with a car.
Yeah.
Like the 2-hour oil change turned into a 10-hour engine swap. Ugh, makes you want to kick a fat kid at Kmart.
Yeah, I've seen that photo because again, listen to different podcasts and they've talked about it. I look at that photo and it does creep me out, but it makes me curious. Like, is that really there? Was it photoshopped? Because, I mean, the thing is, you can manipulate photos. I mean, they were manipulating photos back in the 1920s and 30s when Stalin was in power of Soviet Russia. We've seen, you and I have seen Dr. Crow's book that features just that. Literally editing people out of existence.
Yep.
You could probably edit people into existence as well, because that's what they did. Like, there was actually that photo of Lenin on his deathbed or like in his chair or something, and there's Stalin right next to him like, hey buddy, and in reality it was actually Lenin's wife, not Stalin. So
Photoshop's been around, it's just not been in the medium of computers.
Exactly. So it is possible to edit it. The technology would have been possible. I have my, because what it was a news, it was like a bunch of it was professional photographers as well as Ed and Lorraine Warren and some.
It was a whole news crew and a radio DJ and the Warrens and the Lutz family.
So some people who were very good at possibly editing footage. Yeah. That's where I have my.
And I mean, they had 2 boys in the house, so
they could have easily had that.
Let's stage one to scare people up and drum money in.
I mean, some people have said also that it is not a tampered photo. That it is the real McCoy. It might look like the real McCoy, but where's the original photo? Like, where's the actual like? It's like, well, it's online. No. I mean the actual physical copy of the photograph. I want to know where that's at.
I'm gonna look at the image.
You're going to get yourself nightmares, dude.
Yep.
You are going to give yourself some nightmares. There it is. Yeah, just leaning over, glowing eyes.
You know what sucks is I have a kid. End of sentence.
I was like, okay, where's he going with this?
I have a kid, that sucks.
Yeah.
No, I have a little boy, and I swear to God, and he's only... At this time of recording, he's only 8 months old.
Yes.
He's already standing up and, like, pulling himself up.
Oh, no.
I'm waiting, and I'm a hard sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for the day he walks into my bedroom and it's like, Dad, I need a glass of water. Dad. And, like, wakes me up. I'm going to be, like, half loose, like, boom! Shit, I just hit my kid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to teach him to bob and weave pretty hard. And then he's gonna be crying, I'm gonna be crying because I got hit by the wife for hitting the kid. It's gonna be a great time.
Everybody's just gonna be saying stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a whole bunch of emotions.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
And then we're gonna have ice cream later.
And then I'm gonna be over here for a little while because I got moved out of the house. Yeah. But yeah, that's my weird underlying fear when my kid gets old enough to walk and talk, is I'm gonna accidentally punch him because he freaks me out. Like, if my kid says any of that weird, creepy kid shit, like, in my past life, I remember the burning and the screaming. No, you can go sleep out in the garage now.
Nope, we're not having that, kid. You're not doing this. We are not having that at this house.
Hey, you see that backyard? Go. Nope. Mm-mm. Yeah, that's my underlying fear. He's going to say some weird, creepy shit like that, and then I'm not going to be able to sleep for 5 days.
Oh, God.
Off the TED Talk again. In May of 2010, Hard turned back into the house.
Yeah.
The house was placed on the market with an asking price of $1.15 million.
$1.15 million.
Are you saying that because I have no hair?
Now you don't, but I couldn't resist.
In August of 2010, the house was sold to a local resident for $950,000.
950,000?
Yeah, 950,000.
Yeah, so little markdown.
Yeah, $50K off a mill. So, house is still there. It's still...
Has the address changed?
No.
The address is not changed.
Nope. They have not changed the address. They have not it's being kept up to date because it's, someone still lives there.
I mean, I'm glad that they are, and I'm glad that I'm not having to deal with any of this allegedly spooky shit that's going on.
Well, apparently it hasn't happened since, 76, so, I don't know. It seems like that might have been someone got creeped out, one of the Lutzes found out about the DeFeo, or they heard about the DeFeo murders, and this is my theory about it now. They heard about the DeFeo murders, knew it was a local, taboo topic, and they were like, I bet we can make some money off this shit.
Yeah.
And they pulled in Anson or one of the other various people I named off, and they're like, what if? Hear me out. What if it's haunted?
I mean, that'll do it.
And then, piggybacking off the murder and the tabooness of that, oh, shit, that house is haunted.
Yep.
And you run, if someone murdered 6 people in the house, you can probably run with just about anything, and people are going to be like, yeah, that sounds creepy enough to be real. And then you get Ed and Lorraine Warren involved, oh, shit, now it's real.
Yeah.
Now it's concrete.
Yeah.
By the way, have you seen The Nun 2 on HBO?
No.
No, don't. Just don't.
I don't watch any of the Conjuring movies. I prefer monster horror and slasher horror. I don't like supernatural horror.
I can tolerate some supernatural, but The Nun 2 just was not. The Nun was okay. The Nun 2 was not. That one was clearly a cash grab.
I'm not a big fan of a lot of those types of horror movies, supernatural, because they always do the jump scares, and I'm like, to me,
I hate jump scares.
To me, a jump scare is a lazy form of scare because it's just to make people jump. Like, if I want a jump scare, I'll go to a haunted house.
Yeah.
Like.
How much time do we have on this episode?
We've been in for 50 minutes.
Oh yeah, we can TED talk jump scares in horror movies. We can
but
wrap up the last 10-15 minutes with judging horror movies.
But yeah, if I'll go to a haunted attraction.
Yeah.
Or a haunted maze, something, and just do that and get spooked that way, because that's the scare actors are paid to do that.
Yeah.
I find that any studio that just relies on jump scares for everything is lazy. A horror movie is not just supposed to scare you, it's supposed to disturb and unsettle you.
Yeah.
Myself, a good example that I think that is very appropriate. Did you ever watch Tusk?
Oh. I can't do body horror.
That right there. I watched that movie. And I left disturbed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't usually disturb. So when I watched that one definitely got me.
Yeah.
Ugh. So Kevin Smith did his job with that one.
Yeah. So, and I guess this can sort of tie into a little bit of the about us for the between the line stuff. Horror movie stuff. Like, I love monster movie, traditional, Godzilla's not really a horror movie anymore, but Godzilla, Lake Placid, Anaconda, Jaws.
Yes.
The oversized monsters and creatures. Obviously, we had a whole conversation about gigantism in animals.
Yeah, we had giant monsters and then dinosaurs. We've had the topic on that.
But I love that. I grew up on those, and then supernatural stuff I can tolerate to a degree, like the original Exorcism or The Exorcist, Tim Burton's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow from '99.
That one was very good.
That movie had such an impact on me for like 4 or 5 years. For Halloween, Headless Horseman. Go to, that was it. No argument, no discussion. Turtleneck over my head.
I actually remember the trailers for that movie. They actually scared me.
Yeah.
They scared me.
Because I love that they gave the Horsemen a pretty damn good background. And it's 2023. If you haven't watched it yet, go.
He was a Hessian in the original Washington Irving poem.
Yeah.
Story.
But they made it. Tim Burton tied it all together very beautifully, I think.
Yes.
and made it Ichabod Crane had a reason to go there. You know, he had a reason to leave. He had a reason to stay. All these things. And then he added so much flair that was tastefully done, I think. But yeah, that is... if we were to rank horror movies, that movie is probably my number one. That was...
It was a horror with a dark fantasy element to it. That was really well
dark
done.
fantasy to it.
It was a nice touch.
But I cannot stand, like you said, jump scares. I hate them. It's cheap, and you're not getting a reaction because of the quality. You're getting a visceral reaction because that's what people do when they get a jump scare. They jump.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a basic biological reaction. You're not earning the scare.
You're forcing it.
Yeah. And that the original Nun movie had some tension to it. Like there were I don't know, have you seen the first one?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's scenes where in the nun demon usually comes out from a painting of itself. And it does like that Pennywise comes out of the painting in like 3 dimensions and then pops out.
Yes.
So there's like a bubble and then it bursts. And there's that tension there. And then they earn that jump scare when it finally bursts.
Now the tension, there has to be that tension, that suspense.
Yeah.
Like truly. Like that's where it is best.
Yeah.
But when it's like just a slow close up and then that's
one thing. But the one kind of jump scare I can tolerate, not physically, I hate them because they give me anxiety about it.
Yeah.
But the one jump scare that kind of earns itself is when the jump scare isn't in your face and it's at the end of a hallway and you see it coming. You know something's gonna happen, but then it just keeps slowly coming and then...
Or like the jerky ghost all the way up. Yeah, that one.
Oh,
that'll do it. God, it gave you goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on the spectrum of quality of horror movies, The Conjurings they're okay, but they're typical of modern day horror movies where it's either body horror that's grotesque and excessive, or it's cheap jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
I've not watched a horror movie in a long time, in recent memory at least, that has been of a good quality.
I have a recommendation for you.
Okay.
It's called No One Can Save You.
Well, that's despairing.
And what's even more about it, for the near 90-minute runtime, almost no dialogue.
Christ.
It is very well done. In short, just the basis of it, it's about a woman in a country, in a rural home, in a rural house, and she winds up having to fend off aliens. And it's really well done. Like watching it, there's a lot of tension. There is that real sense of helplessness because there's a couple of background actors, but other than that, it's mostly her. Yeah. It's like focusing on her for the most part. There's barely any dialogue. It's really well done.
So, I did watch. It had Natalie Portman in it. The Happening.
The Happening.
It was a sci-fi thriller, scary movie.
The Happening.
I think
that was the one with Mark Wahlberg, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is the one.
That's
where
the M. Night Shyamalan Plants movie. He's looking this up for the Natalie Portman horror movie.
Annihilation.
Oh yes, that one.
So, it wasn't. It was a middle of the road movie. It was okay.
Okay.
But they had it decently well paced. It got a little weird at the end.
As it's
synopsis is Natalie Portman's character is married to a special operations or special forces guy in the military. He can't disclose where he's going for missions and stuff.
Yes.
So months, even a couple years at a time, sort of thing. disappears off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a geneticist, I think.
She's a scientist.
She's a scientist for a college. Government comes, talks, and I think they kidnap her, basically. Bring her to this black site. And they basically disclose there's some weird cosmic thing going on in the middle of a Louisiana swamp.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
I've not seen it, but I do know that they deal like with this shimmer, this glimmer.
The shimmer. And it's expanding slowly, and they're, we're estimating by the end of the year it's going to have this much ground covered, and yada, yada, yada.
And inside is like this bastardization of organic life.
It's a weird, almost like The Last of Us mutation thing going.
Mm-hmm.
But they have it so well spaced. There's a little bit of creepiness. There's a jump scare here. More creepiness, build up, tension among the group. They lose someone. And then there's, the fake outs. The biggest fake out of it being, I don't know if you've seen it. Well, you haven't seen it. The bear.
Yes.
Oh, shit. That was horrifying.
Now.
Oh, it's.
I will say, I'm going to come back on my opinion towards jump scares. I won't deride a jump scare. Sometimes a jump scare, as we have discussed, is earned.
Yeah.
Say you're out in the if the movie's out in the forest or something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, big monster or something just right out of nowhere.
But that one, in a real world scenario, you could see that happening. But
exactly, that's why I say that
forced jump scare, like in The Nun or The Nun 2.
That's
it's like,
where I'm at. Yeah, no.
But the creepiest part about Annihilation is that bear scene, and it's this mutated bear that ate one of the party members, and because it's a weird genetic anomaly zone, absorbs her DNA when the bear eats her.
Yep.
And when it roars and growls, it sounds like her voice.
Spoilers for anybody who has not seen the movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I recommend watching it, just not with small children.
It's been out for a while, though, I think.
It's 2018.
Yeah, it's been out for 5 years.
They're the fake out of, and one of her and the other party members were, kind of a thing. So the other one that's still alive is like, oh shit, it's, so-and-so.
Yeah, and then
runs downstairs, and it's the fucking bear,
I've seen some YouTube videos that talk about that scene, and it's just it's one of the most gut-wrenching scenes.
Yeah, because it's terrifying, it's depressing, it's sad, I think that's what I like scare-wise, is when it's more than just terrifying.
Yeah. It's got that unsettling aspect to it.
The Mist.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Holy God. If that doesn't tear at your heartstrings at one scene or another, you're dead. You're dead inside.
That is still one of the most perfect horror movie endings ever. Because it was very much what a horror is supposed to be. Horror is supposed to be,
and I think,
not a vanquishing of evil. It's supposed to be the fact that you cannot walk away unscathed. Mm-mm. Which is why I get it. Which is why I take issue with a lot of modern day
everything
Lovecraftian stuff, because there's books and there's the Call of Cthulhu game, a D&D game and everything, and it's oh, you're trying to beat Cthulhu. It's you can't beat beings that are outside of our comprehension, that are infinitely more powerful than you or I. Quite truly, you will go mad. That is the point of Lovecraftian horror, is that you will go insane.
Yeah.
There is no winning. There is no safety. There is the fact that you realize that you are nothing more than a speck of dust in the cosmic scheme of things, with these superiorly powerful beings that could, on the blink of an eye, turn you into mush for no reason. Just because of sheer enjoyment.
So, and sort of to wrap it up and then sort of bring us back to the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
The 70s and late 70s, early 80s, that era of horror movie, that was probably some of the more polarizing movies, because they were either fantastic and are in the pop culture of the world, or they sucked and they're in the pop culture of the world.
Oh yeah, no, like
because you had Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Amityville Horror,
Jaws,
The Exorcist, and then you had shit movies like
Piranha.
Piranha,
That was
Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels.
yes.
And then Poltergeist, which just
had a lot of different.
You said you liked that movie, right?
The original one. From a filmmaking standpoint,
I can't even get behind it on that level.
I watched it. And I was like, okay, so I can see why I was. I try to put myself back in the time when those movies were made.
Yeah.
Because it's like back then, absolutely fucking creepy, like really, really messed up. But
modern times, I laughed. I laughed at that movie.
now you look at it and it's like, this is so funny. It's like the original. It's like watching the original Dawn of the Dead by George Romero in black and white. That one. It is.
Oh, that triggered some memories from college.
That for me, I like that movie based from an artistic standpoint because it's really well done.
Yeah.
But then you watch it and it's like, this is kind of comical in some sense because it's just a bunch of people who are just paid to shamble around in clothing and that's it.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's. I need to watch the Amityville. I wouldn't mind getting a copy and reading it. But I definitely need to watch it at some point.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch the '05 remake, even though it's drivel, according to Mr. Lutz.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was house number 2.
Yep. I'm sold on this one just because, I mean, I don't believe there's any spooky stuff.
I don't think there is either.
You might have a sale on this one.
The Winchester house, it's just confusing. I'd get lost.
Yeah, no, I probably would get lost. I wake up the next morning and I'll take the wrong turn. The next thing I know, where are you, babe? What? I just done it for 5 minutes. It's been 5 days. How?
It's like Interstellar. I've been gone for 37 years.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
that episode.
I think that's the end of that episode for us.
What do we got up next in our docket, mister?
Well, I was going to tackle a couple of, and this is going to open the floodgates to a whole subject, but I was thinking we'd start talking puppy dogs.
You got some puppy dogs in mind?
Got some puppy dogs.
Oh, I like
We got a French poodle, definitely a French poodle.
Oh, I like puppies.
You don't have any puppies.
I can still like puppies. I might not have puppies. I got cats, but I like puppies.
And then, so we got a French poodle.
Uh-huh.
And then we got a puppy that lives up in Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin Weimaraner? Nice.
Yeah, a Wisconsin.
Aw.
Wisconsin Weimaraner.
Puppies. I'm gonna have fun with this.
It's probably not, but whatever. So let's see. I'm gonna try and knock out the end note or the credits. Thank you to Brittanie for our logo.
Correct.
We are on Instagram and Facebook, Tall and Short Podcast on both.
Uh-huh.
Send us a message. Tell us how awesome we are. Yeah.
Only
positive comments. Only positive reinforcement.
Or also positive criticism. So what we did we did wrong, but we could fix. More
or
than
if you
happy
want to
do
tell
so.
us that Tim sucks.
Hey.
Well, I'll say it for them.
I mean, email us at tallandshortpod@gmail.com, which can be found in the show notes below.
And then we are on, I know we're on YouTube. We're on Spotify now.
I did put us on there.
We are on, what else?
Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts.
Truly wherever you find your podcasts. So
whatever you subscribe to, we might be on there. And if not, tell us, and we might try and get on there just to annoy you.
And tell your friends, word of mouth, tell your friends, tell loved ones. Your word of mouth really does help us, and we would greatly appreciate it.
And then, happy house haunting.
Haunted house hunting. There we go.
Haunted house hunting.
Yeah.
Have fun with that. Don't murder anyone, please.
Please don't.
And if you do, don't say it was us.
No. Until next time, tune in for more Tall and Short, everybody. Bye.